Now, I told you the good news. There's always bad news. And the bad news is, again, short-term, but it's going to be short-term pain. And then today I'm going to talk about oil prices. We're all loving it when we pull up to the pumps. God, I used to go to the pumps and pull up there with my truck and say, put $100 in. Now it takes 65 bucks. But as much as I enjoy it, as the mayor, I know what it's going to do to us. And I'm going to tell you some of the things it's going to do. First, you're going to see our unemployment rate drastically climb. And it's drastically going to climb because our young people are returning from Fort McMurray, where lots of them still lived here, went in for 2 weeks and came out for a week. Well, now they're not returning. And if you heard the news again this morning, more billions cut from the oil sands project, more job layoffs. I'm very fortunate in my past life. I worked for a company called the Fishman Group out of Israel. They operate in 38 countries. So I phoned them yesterday to talk about the price of oil. They disagree with Canada says. They believe it's a 2-year project. They believe that the price of oil will go down $25 a barrel. And they're concerned because they have investments in those 38 countries. But part of it is the price that we paid when we decided to stand up for our liberties. Some of those other companies have ordered their workers to open those taps full blast. We may put economic sanctions on them, but we're going to get some economic sanctions back from them when it comes to the price of oil. To hit home base even a little better on the price of oil, we have lots of kids, and you have to remember this, Alberta isn't the only one with oil. We have lots of kids returning from Weyburn, Estevan, Kendersley. I feel sorry for the city of Kendersley. They're going to be affected by 30% of the population with the oil sold down. Imagine that, 30% of your population. That's a lot. And what concerns me is talking to some of these small oil companies, when the price of oil comes back, they're not going to be here. Because they don't have the capital backing them up like Shell, Esso, the big guys, Stingso, to go through this hump in the road. And it is a hump, but some of the smaller companies. And give you an example of what they were faced with. One young guy that just returned home, bought a semi, and was hauling oil in the oil fields, just outside Lloydminster, doing 12 loads a day. He's down to 5. And he has to put his truck up because 5 is not going to do it. Another young from our city, a young entrepreneur, bought 6 clean-out trucks and are working in the oil fields. He's now down to 2. And he fears every day when that phone rings that he'll be less and less. Because he says, now what's happening? When those oil heads plug, right, they're leaving them plugged. Because of the price of oil, it's not worth the repairs to keep them going. So we are going to feel it. The biggest hit that we're going to feel, and I'm going to share this with my colleagues here that are sitting with me today from the provincial government, is both federally and provincially. Federally, first of all, I want to thank Randy Kovac, who could not be here today. But I want to thank him. Boy, he's in the news all the time. He's putting Prince Albert on the map. But when we need him, we send him a letter and or call his assistant, and he's there for us. I give him credit. He went to the war zone this year and got back safely so he could see firsthand. So he's also putting Prince Albert on the map, so I'd like to thank him. The provincial government is going to have a huge challenge because not only were they suffering from potash royalties, now the price of oil. And governments, we're a little more diversified, but the price of oil is really going to affect us. And so I got to give them credit. They are going to have to cut. And of course, they're looking at cutting our funding. And I'm going to announce this weekend, I'm at the SUMA conference with my colleagues, and this is one thing that's on, the PSD formula. We believe the PSD formula is the right one, don't touch it. And I'm going to take a leave from the Mayor's caucus for a year because I don't agree with their stand. Their stand is, Greg, let's just worry about our own budgets and protect ourselves and leave the province out there. Well, I don't believe we can do that because I believe if we cry together, we'll heal together. And they've got some big decisions. And I hope the right decision, and that's what I'm going to say today, and they're taking notes, the right decision is think about the people. And when you think about the people, what can we do without for the next couple of years? Well, let's put some of our mega projects on hold. We have the big bypass project in Regina that's just going to bypass the Trans-Canada around the city. That can wait a couple of years. That's a $1 billion expenditure that I believe we don't have to make today. The North Commuter Bridge Project in Saskatoon. You've got 9 other bridges. You can wait a couple more years. You whined about these ones for the last couple. That's why the river level came up. But you know, you can walk a little, and maybe the mayor there will lose some weight if he didn't have to walk out of his office. That's why he's heavier than me, because he walks out of his office 10 feet, he's on a bridge. You know, so he doesn't have to go anywhere. So I'm really going to encourage the government this weekend, because we will be meeting with the Premier is there and all the cabinet ministers, and I will be expressing my opinion that let's think of the people and let's look at our mega projects, because at this point, the federal government, that's what they're looking at, is why take 3% away? Because if you don't do this, this is what for a threat. I could easily agree with the other mayors and say, yeah, let's protect our budgets. By protecting our budgets then, I see some of our low rental developers are here that build affordable housing and stable housing and does a great job. They're going to lose their funding. We've already lost our funding. Councilor Martin Ring sits on our recycling program. We've already lost our recycling money that we were expecting in 2015. That's already been cut. Because people don't understand. The province just does not give the city of Prince Albert money. They give the school divisions. They give the hospital, which continues to plan for a new hospital. They're actually, I think, having a meeting next month about it. So it's just not us. I tried to tell our mayor, it's our community that we should talk about. The other thing that I fear is the government has been great in keeping down education tax. They flexed last year and talked about looking at raising education tax, and of course we all barked and they backed away from that. But our schools need repair. We need new schools. So we do have a big challenge ahead. So that's my loom and gloom part about the oil prices. Now as I prepare to close, everyone wants to know what my announcement is. Lots of figured it out by reading the newspaper. Is one of the challenges I have as mayor is lots of times I get criticized from our residents. So listen to this. I get criticized from my residents because I told Darrell Hickey and our 3 MLAs and our premier what I thought of their decision. Well, first of all, I am the mayor of Prince Albert. And if you're going to cut jobs in my community, I don't care who you are, you're going to get a phone call from the mayor of Prince Albert because I don't like it. And that doesn't mean I don't support the government or I'm not a cheerleader for the government. We have to work with the government. But at the same time, I am personally the mayor of Prince Albert. And if anyone, whether it's the provincial, federal government, private business decides to pull out, they're not going to get a friendly phone call from the mayor. Because we want to grow our community. And we can't grow our community with job losses.